Oh man, I'm live already. I was just gonna take a sip of my coffee, but it came on a lot faster than I was expecting, so bear with me. Hey guys, so you guys probably know I'm Christine Dunn with eXp Realty, and I am doing live videos because one, they make me really uncomfortable, and two, I've got some really great information I want to get out to people. So today's episode of Keeping It Real Estate with Christine Dunn is about mortgage rates and how they've reached historic lows, and what does that mean to you as a buyer? Really great question, right? Everyone's making such a big stink about everything, and they're talking, so hey Christina, so many people are getting so excited and they're talking about these rates being super low, but what does that even mean? That's what I want to tell you about. So despite the global pandemic, people are still purchasing properties, and it's because these mortgage rates are so incredibly low. And I want to explain to you how that affects your purchasing power. So in this quick episode, we're going to do some math. And I'm going to break down the difference between buying a home now versus if you were buying when the rates were super high, or if the APR goes up, which APR stands for annual percentage rate. So my goal is to help buyers make smart decisions so that they understand the market that they're buying in, and then it makes the most sense for them. Hey, Crystal. How's it going, guys? So anyway, fill up your coffee or whatever you're sipping on. Maybe drop me a comment. Let me know what you're sipping on. You saw my cup. I got coffee in here still. Okay, so what does it mean with mortgage rates being at historic lows for a buyer? First, you want to know, what does historic low even mean, right? So let's go back to the 70s and work our way up. Hey, how's it going there? So if we start in the 70s, the average rate was actually 8.86, right? In the 80s, it was 12.7. So we went from almost 9 to almost 13. In the 90s, it went down a little, back in the 8s at 8.12%. Then 2000s came along and we went down a little bit, so we were at 6.29%. And then in 2010s, the average was about 4.9%. As of June 2020, our rates, the average rate was about 3.21. Now, I actually know people that refinance their homes in like the twos, you guys, like 2.8. That's so low. And we're talking low from like a high of almost 13%. So when people are talking about historic lows, that's what a big difference we're talking about. And I know it's super crazy. But what I want you to understand is how this affects your purchasing power, right? So first and foremost, let's just really be thankful that, at least for me, I was only born in the 80s. I wasn't purchasing property in the 80s. Hallelujah. Because 12.7%, I wouldn't be able to afford even a third of what I'm in now, right? So let's go and do some math. You ready? Let's say that you're going to purchase a house for $350,000 in 2020. So in 2020, our rate is 3.21%. So if we're buying a house for $350,000 at 3.21%, and we're putting 5% down, so it's probably a conventional loan, what would the payment be? If we're using a mortgage calculator without taxes or insurance, just the payment alone is going to be $1,439.78 per month. So about $1,500 a month for a $350,000 house. Hey, Liz, thanks for being here, girl. So if we're looking at that, I mean, $1,500 is fairly affordable. You know, some people are paying that for rent right now. Now, you gotta keep in mind that that's not including taxes and insurance, but still, we're talking about a $350,000 house at 3.21% interest when 5% down. Now, let's say you decide to wait and buy that house and it goes up 1%. So now we're talking about 4.21%. How does that affect your purchasing power? Well, if you do the same math, $350,000 house with 5% down and a 4.21% interest rate, then your payment actually jumps up to $1,627.93. So that's actually $188 a month difference. That's pretty big. And that doesn't even include, I mean, just think about if we went back to the 80s at 12.7%, what would the payment be? Just out of curiosity, what do you think? I did the math because I was like, what would it have been in the 80s if I bought a $350,000 house with 5% down at 12.7%? $3,600 a month. Okay, so we're talking $1,500 a month to almost to more than double, you guys. That's why these interest rates are so important. So the moral of the story is, if you're trying to decide if now is the right time to purchase a property and take advantage of these low interest rates, it's easier to make the decision when you break it down into numbers that make sense to you, right? So once you have a realistic number, go online. You can use any mortgage calculator. You can shoot me a DM. I'll go through some of this stuff with you guys. It's not a secret. We're not trying to, keep things from you. I want to educate you. I want to give you everything you need to make the decision that is the best for you right now. So the more the mortgage rates increase, the less purchasing power you have, and your budget of $350 could potentially decrease depending on where the rates are headed. So keep that in mind when you're trying to decide, should I buy? Should I wait? Obviously, this has a lot to do with what your work scenario and situation is. You have to do what's right for your family, but just wanted to kind of give you guys that information. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Let me see if I have anything else in my notes that I don't want to forget. I will schedule. I'm happy to do virtual consultations if anybody has any questions. Or you're just kind of getting started with your process. I can answer many of the generic questions on mortgages, but otherwise I'll send you to one of my favorite mortgage people. I have several that I work with, Kyle, Rosa, and several others that I've met recently. So don't be a stranger. If you don't know, ask somebody. That's why we're here. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for keeping it real estate with Christine, and I'll talk to you soon.